Retro cars are all the rage these days. Just look at the success of the Fiat 500 and of course the BMW Mini. But there is one manufacturer who put a modern twist on one of its cars from yesteryear, the Volkswagen Beetle. One look at it and you can tell instantly it's a Beetle. Its curvaceous roof and wheel arches make it stand out from anything else on the road. This second generation model sits slightly lower than its predecessor, giving it a more sporty, dynamic demeanour. The retro styling from the outside has been carried through to the interior too. You get a dashboard that sits slightly higher than in more modern cars. You also get a steering wheel and controls that are a bit more squared off than you might expect. The hark back to bygone times continues with a gloss plastic that matches the body colour, albeit in optional trim upgrade. The Beetle is only a 4-seater and up front there's ample space for driver and passenger. In the back it's a very different story. It's quite cramped and the sloping roofline means it's not ideal for taller occupants. The boot though is a decent size and almost compares to a Golf, but its odd shape means it's slightly limited. Now, the original Beetle was never particularly sporty. It was a car for the people, designed for trips to the shop or even maybe weekends away. But the latest model has evolved into something a bit more spirited. If you want a hot hatch performance, then the one to go for is the 2-litre TSI, which will do the 0 to 60 dash in 7.3 seconds. Other petrol offerings include a 1.2 and 1.4, both turbocharged. Diesel offerings take the form of either a 1.6 with 104 brake horsepower or a 2-litre with 138 brake. The lesser powered version is the better one to choose. The best handling version is the 2-litre TSI thanks to its multi-link rear suspension, the same one used in the Golf GTI. Other versions get a less sophisticated system, which means it's less composed through the bends. The ride is also a tad firm and the steering heavier than we'd expect for a car that will spend most of its time in urban life. So that's the Motors view, but what do some professionals think of it?
To be honest, I think it would be practical enough. I mean, it's not the biggest car and it's not the smallest. I mean, when I look for a car, I usually want something that's got quite a large boot, which actually this has. I mean, it's not too small, it's not massive, but it does the trick. I mean, I could get a load of shopping in there. And unlike big hefty cars, which obviously are a nightmare in car parks, I mean this is, perfect for me because I can just, swing it into a space and, get on with my day. I really enjoyed, looking around the car and seeing all its quirky gadgets, and it looks like it's got a lot to offer. So, I can be on the road and I can still be connected via Bluetooth, so I can talk to anyone who, is at work or just friends. So, I can do long distance driving and take, just usual daily commutes and, still be connected to the world and actually enjoy something that's comfortable but also looks good and is probably quite sporty. Inside the Beetle is actually, it's pretty good. It's not perfect. I mean, I wouldn't really want to take passengers in the back of the car. I mean, I can just about fit in there when someone is probably got the same driving position as me. But if obviously there was someone a bit taller or a taller passenger sat here, you wouldn't want to have any passengers in the back. I think the Beetle is a really good looking car. I actually am a really big fan of the original, and it sort of makes you feel like you're still sort of retro when you're driving around, although you're not, and you still sort of look really smug because you've got all the luxuries, the nice comfort and the air conditioning and the electric windows, but you still feel like you're pretty cool when you're driving around. So yeah, I think the Beetle's a good car.
Actually, I think the car would be really practical. I was quite surprised about the amount of boot space in it, and there's plenty of room up front in the 2 front seats. So yeah, pretty practical, I'd say. There was one thing I was a bit unsure about. There was some controls sort of at the top by the rear view mirror, and it just felt a bit weird. And not if you were driving along and trying to change a few of those things. It's probably not a good place to be. I really love the looks of this Beetle. I much prefer it to the slightly older new Beetle. I'm a big fan of the original Beetles. I had one myself, but I actually really like the look of it. There's a few nods to the original Beetle there as well. There's the wheels look like MP5 spokes. The gear knob actually kind of almost looks like a black ball like you used to have on the gear knobs back in the day, and even the upper glove box is kind of styled in the same way as the original Beetle. So actually, yeah, I really like the look of this car. I could definitely see myself driving this car daily. I think it looks great. It's nice to see one of these kind of retro cars, which actually looks really cool. Yeah, I'd drive this.